Francis Timothy McCown blasted into existence August 8, 1922, amid the gritty sprawl of Los Angeles, California. He clawed from a jagged, law-dodging adolescence to claim a throne among the adored icons of cinema and television in Hollywood's gilded prime. Nurtured in the iron grip of the Great Depression, he weathered chaos and rootlessness, tangling with cops as a teen. By his early 20s, federal reformatory walls had caged him for car theft. Iron bars had locked him for armed holdup. A pitch-black prologue that might have snuffed his spark before ignition. Instead, it forged the bedrock of his myth. Once he flipped the script on fate, Calhoun never ducked his shadows. In raw chats, he owned every stumble, insisting those brutal stretches gifted him the raw edge and street-sharp truth that later branded his performances. His Hollywood vault felt like cosmic coincidence, spun from luck and raw magnetism. Post-release, he bounced through grunt work, grease monkey, timber cutter, bona fide wrangler, until a fluke collision with silver screen titan Alan Ladd rewrote the stars. Ladd's spouse, Sue Carroll, a powerhouse talent scout, spotted electric promise in the towering, iron-shouldered drifter with laser-cut gaze. She inked him, christened him Rory Calhoun, shoved him into drama classes. The rocket ride ignited. Rory stormed screens in the early 1940s, snagging backup gigs at heavyweight studios. His born-athlete frame, gravel baritone rumble, and weathered allure screamed Western hero, the genre then ruling the roost. He galloped through 1950s reels like The Red House in 1947, A Song in My Heart in 1952, and River of No Return in 1954 alongside Marilyn Monroe and Robert Mitchum. Crowds devoured his hushed self-assurance. No bombast, no scenery chewing, just granite poise and velvet pull that reeled them close. What truly carved Calhoun eternal was unfiltered realness. While peers pantomimed saddle kings, Rory lived it. He could ride hard, rope swift, outlast dust and drought. When he headlined the enduring small-screen saga The Texan from 1958 to 1960, viewers bought every second, not merely for craft, but because the badge mirrored the marrow of the man. The show conquered ratings. Calhoun cemented as living room royalty, revered for valiant swagger and courtly polish. Off-camera, Calhoun danced to his own wild drum. Famous for fierce autonomy, boundless warmth to devotees, ironclad brotherhood. Yet a prankster spark and rogue Hollywood badge kept tongues wagging. Scandal sheets feasted on his romantic rampages. Helmers prized his rock-steady dependability. His layered soul, battle-hard yet velvet-soft, untamed yet introspective, elevated him from mere player to living legend. As the Western Empire dimmed in the late 1960s, Calhoun shape-shifted like a chameleon gunslinger, seizing TV spots, bargain bin flicks, even laugh riots and adrenaline blasts. He surfaced in oddball gems like Motel Hell in 1980, proving he could pivot and stun crowds well into his silver stretch. His chameleon grit and hunger to morph kept paychecks rolling decades after contemporaries hung spurs. Rory Calhoun's private orbit swirled as vivid and turbulent as any celluloid showdown. His unions mirrored the fire and fracture of a soul who seized existence with both fists, lens or no lens. First vow, to songbird screen siren Lita Barron, a dazzler who matched his Tinseltown blaze and grasped fame's razor edges. They tied the knot in 1948, cresting Calhoun's meteoric climb. He was then the industry's drooled-over alpha, storming sagebrush sagas and thrill rides that flaunted his chiseled lines and innate draw. Lita, famed for melody and minor reels, glittered at his side at splashy galas. Together they reigned as post-war Hollywood's most sizzling, headline-hijacking duo. Their bond birthed 3 daughters, Cindy, Tammy, Lori, whom Calhoun cherished fiercely, even as relentless shoots exiled him from hearth. Yet fame's crucible and Calhoun's ladies' man lore finally fractured the foundation. Tabloid vultures endlessly paired him with co-stars. Some whispers bloated, but the fallout scarred home. By the late 1960s, fissures yawned irreparable. In 1969, Lita Baron boldly named serial cheating as the split trigger, a gutsy salvo for the era. She told microphones she could pardon much, but deceit was the cliff. Headlines detonated, peeling back the velvet curtain on their gilded agony. After 20-plus years, the curtain dropped in 1970, shuttering one of the golden era's marathon romances. Heartbreak failed to extinguish Calhoun's flame for love. In 1971, he locked eyes with Sue Rhodes, a sharp British scribe enchanted by his real legacy, razor wit, and inner glow. Their alliance ushered a steadier, earthbound act. Unlike the Lita spectacle under Klieg-light scrutiny, the Sue chapter stayed shadowed and serene. Mutual reverence anchored them. Pal swore Sue injected equilibrium into his cyclone. Tragedy struck, strains surfaced, divorce papers signed in 1979. Yet embers never cooled. Distance distilled clarity. The original spark endured. In a real-worthy reversal fit for his own scripts, Rory and Sue re-pledged vows in 1982. Round 2 hummed softer, sweeter, companionship over flash. Calhoun had mostly faded from marquees, savoring life's unhurried gallop. He often rhapsodized about these twilight seasons with Sue, cherishing the absolution and depth their reunion unlocked. For ages, Tinseltown whisper mills churned tales of camaraderie and covert jousting between twin titans of tumbleweed lore, Rory Calhoun and Randolph Scott. Both embodied granite-jawed virility, suave grit, and that ironclad frontier creed that stamped the Western Golden Age. Despite parallel trails and overlapping posses, Calhoun rarely uttered Scott's name publicly, until the dam finally burst. In a scarce, soul-bearing sit-down late in his Odyssey, Calhoun unleashed unguarded truth about Randolph Scott, the idol he revered, coveted, and silently sparred with. Randolph Scott, Calhoun opened, was the breed you couldn't resist saluting. He wore dignity like a second skin, as if sculpted in the saddle. Off-reel, that cowboy glide wasn't act, it was essence. Calhoun's timbre gentled, recounting Scott's cinematic aura, how his serene command rippled through the genre's ranks. No bluster, no chest thump, no necessity. His mere entrance magnetized reverence. He never barked for it. He breathed it. Yet Calhoun confessed a subterranean rivalry simmered. We were twin frontrunners, both skyscraper tall, both clawing for saddle space in a corral too cramped for surplus stallions. Truth? I burned jealous at his breezy mastery. Stardom looked like a Sunday stroll for him, and that gnawed my younger hide raw. A wry laugh escaped as he dredged early ire chasing Scott's dust. I'd bust lungs proving my salt while Randolph tipped his Stetson, muttered 3 syllables, and hijacked the frame. Rivalry aside, Calhoun insisted zero venom soured it. Only awe. Randolph played clean, no gutter tricks. Truth told, kindest soul I ever crossed in this viper pit. Hollywood choose dreamers, you learn quick. Scott stayed stainless, doled equal courtesy to tycoons and day players. That schooled me on the caliber of man I aimed to forge. Calhoun marveled at Scott's off-grid enigma. Lived hushed, spotlight allergic, that floored me. Studios begged him for every bash, every red carpet blaze. But he craved his spread, his herd. Rare bird. A luminary who didn't hunger for ovations. A thoughtful beat. Then, maybe that's why crowds trusted him blind. No huckster polish. He was the genuine article. Prodded on mentorship, Calhoun grinned sly. No sermon on the Mount pep talks, but he led by shadow. Once drawled, Rory, never hunt fame. It outruns the swiftest steed, and if you rope it, it'll hurl you hard. Etched in my hide. Dead right, too. Every fame chase left me bruised and billed. Calhoun's esteem swelled witnessing Scott's sunset glide. Retirement? No fanfare. No exit bow. just spurred off into his private horizon. Zero dirt, zero ink, pure tranquility. That crowned my respect. He clocked the off-ramp. Few of us do. Still, a pang lingered. Always craved a fireside, rider to rider, to spill how he molded me. But back then, cowboys swallowed sentiment. Pride choked the words. Soft chuckle, nostalgia thick. Bet he sensed it anyway. Always did. On his own echo, Calhoun nodded to Scott's towering silhouette over the genre. Any soul who ever cinched a Stetson owes Randolph tribute. He drew the blueprint. I just trailed his wake, spurs jingling. As dialogue dimmed, Calhoun's cadence turned meditative. Randolph transcended stardom. He symbolized an epoch when men whispered thunder. He drilled in me that true steel blooms in restraint, in owning your core while the dream factory claws to remake you. That, he sealed, rides with me daily. Rory Calhoun's soliloquy unveiled more than homage. It bared humility, the brand only time and truth distill. Amid sequins and spotlights, his salute sketched twin trailblazers bound not merely by frames, but by a mute, unbreakable code that forged a legion of screen cowboys. Rory Calhoun rode out April 28, 1999, at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Burbank, California, capping a vivid, whirlwind, 76-year saga. Exit credited to emphysema and diabetes, twin relentless foes that eroded his iron frame in the dusk. Emphysema, lung-raising scourge tied to decades of smoke, turned breaths into battles, strides into stumbles. Calhoun, archetype of rough-hewn manhood, had inhaled deep, swigged hard, toiled under blistering suns on endless location shoots. Those hallmarks of golden-era machismo finally levied their tax. Final chapters saw Health cage his camera returns, yet fans and peers still lionized his gift and bulldog spirit. He wrestled emphysema years, leaning on clinics and oxygen to stave collapse. Diabetes compounded the siege, sapping vigor. Yet insiders swore his wit flashed and spine stayed ramrod to the curtain. Family, confidants, devotees streamed bedside, savoring vintage Hollywood poise fused with frontier steel. At 76, Calhoun stood tall, a feat for the once caged hellion few pegged for elder statesman grace in Western lore. His endurance screamed resilience reborn. Post-passage, showbiz poured reverence. His set-side ease, effortless camaraderie, how he channeled frontier pulse in flesh and fiction.